The past is gone. Now's the future.
Hey wrestling fans, and welcome to episode number 1 of the Piledriver Pundit. I am your host, DC. You may have seen my face on such shows as Uncaged with my co-host Mike Larkin. You may have seen me on Kicking It with the TSK. You may have even seen me on the Max Wrestling podcast on a couple different occasions. But what you're seeing here is something entirely new. What you are seeing is all me. You are seeing my takes on wrestling, good, bad, indifferent, my opinions. This is all me. This is going to end up being a weekly show. Maybe I have guests on in the future. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's just me rambling. Kind of like I'm doing now. But I digress. So, what you're going to see on this show is you're going to see a little bit of news roundup. You're going to see a little bit of maybe different topics. You're going to see a little bit of everything. And what makes that different than others is I don't have an opinion. I don't have a bias, one way or the other. I'm not pro WWE. I'm not pro AEW. I'm not pro New Japan. I am pro wrestling. See what I did there? Yeah. You see what I'm doing. So, I figure, since the introductions are done, let's get right on to it. Let's get right to the nitty-gritty, as they would say. First topic of episode number 1 is This Week in Wrestling. And as I record this, it is Monday morning around 1:04 Eastern Time. And I figure with the week just starting, let's wrap up the week that was. What you may have missed, news, difference. So, a couple of things that stuck out to me this past week. The rumors of CM Punk returning to WWE seem to be intensifying. Some people are saying it's a done deal. Others are saying, well, wait a minute, pump the brakes. No, it's not. Other people are saying that, hey, it basically could happen, but he's got to mend fences with certain talent. I believe I saw, Roman's name mentioned as well as Seth's name mentioned. I know Seth is not really a fan of the Punkster. I myself am not a big fan of Punk. I don't think he's, is he worth the headache? So I think with that, you need to look at, a couple things. You need to look at A, how are you going to use him? Would you use him as just sort of like a per appearance, like a Brock Lesnar or Roman kind of deal, like where you have him come in special occasions? Do you have him work like a full-time schedule? What do you do? Do you have him go into the Hall of Fame? Because, that is a possibility too. Hall of Fame's coming up. We should get the first announcement in January. So we're probably about 3, maybe 4 months away. Usually it's right around January. Or at least that's when we start getting the rumors, as they say. So we'll see what happens there. Recently we had on Dynamite, we had Jay White abscond with the AEW World Heavyweight title or the Triple B. Honestly, I'm really digging what they're doing with Bullet Club Gold. I think Jay White is an incredible talent. I think he was an incredible signing. And if the rumors are true, it sounded like there was a deal in place for him to come to WWE, but due to the hiring freeze, that didn't happen. But honestly, I think it's for the better. I really do. Sometimes things work out in a certain way. We may not understand at the time, but it works. So him and the Guns, and I know I'm going to catch heat for this, Juice Robinson. I can't remember his name. You know, they kind of beat down MJF and they stole the title. Okay. I like it. I'm curious to see where this goes. You know, there's the whole, oh, he attacked Jay White. But did he, though? Did he really do it? You know, that some people are saying, there's rumors saying that, you know, it's, I've heard Juice Robinson's name saying that he did it, you know, and he and the Guns are doing it. I don't really believe that. I've heard maybe Jack Perry, you know, maybe it's leading to something with him. Maybe he teams up with the Kingdom. Maybe. Another rumor I heard, this one I don't believe, was it was really Adam Cole and this whole injuries of work. I don't believe that. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, I guess it could be, but I don't see it. I don't see it. But am I excited to see where it goes? Yeah, I am. I'm curious to see what they do with it. And fast forward to this past Saturday at Collision, we had a tag team title match. We had FTR defending against Ricky Starks and Big Bill. I still don't like that name. I mean, granted, I think he's really gotten a lot better, you know, since he was Big Cass. And, you know, apparently you can teach that. Apparently you can. You know, so it's not, you know, But the big news was FTR got flattened by them. Okay. And immediately, like as soon as that match ended, oh, people are saying, oh, yep, FTR must have gotten their release. They're going back to WWE to be with CM Punk. You know, and I don't see that happening. You know, I think there's two likely scenarios. Option number one of them's hurt. Option number two, you know, Cash has his thing in Florida that, you know, is going to be happening soon. So, got to nip that in the bud. See what happens there. And again, also, you know, I guess maybe it could be part of a storyline, but to have him lose like that in like less than 5 minutes, I don't know, it's kind of weird. But whatever. You know, I guess it's possible, but we'll see. We'll see. Next, we had Fastlane 2023 in Indianapolis, Indiana, which maybe I'm wrong, but I want to say this was the first PLE, at least Raw or SmackDown, under the Endeavor umbrella, you know, once the merger had been finalized, which it is now finalized. And it wasn't a bad show. You know, it had its okay moments. It had its, you know, moments that were good. You know, some were better than others. Big thing, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso beat the Judgment Day with a combination 1D / Cody Cutter. So what are they going to call it? Are they going to call it the Cody? Oh, God, I just spoke that into existence. Oh, God, that's going to happen. That's going to be what we're going to get. God, I hope not, but if it is, folks, I am so sorry. So despite interference, that's what we get. Now, what's interesting here was towards the end, it looked like Priest was going to try and put Cody through the announce table. Or maybe it was Jay. I don't know, I digress. And JD McDonough with the senior Money in the Bank briefcase went to hit the opponent and ended up hitting Priest. That would lead to Priest being taken out. Well, not by medical staff, but, being incapacitated. And then ended up with Finn taking the fall. Now, here's where does this further the Damian Priest face turn bit? There was a backstage segment later on in the night where Damian Priest says, I'm cashing in tonight. Tonight's the night. I'm doing it. And Rhea basically said, no, you're not doing this. You talked about it. You said this is not what you want to do. Give me the briefcase. And he gave it to her. I still think cashing in at Fastlane would have been the right call, but they didn't do it. Now, what could happen? A couple of things that and I don't think it's ever been done. JD McDonough handed that new briefcase to Priest. What if Priest goes to cash in, briefcase is empty? There's no contract there. What if JD McDonough tries to buy his way into the Judgment Day and he gives Priest contract to Finn Balor? Finn Balor cashes in the contract and wins. Sets up Priest versus Balor. Good work. I hope they don't rush to it. I know storyline they get about a year. So it's still got a lot of time to be able to do it. So that's one option that they could do. The trios match with LWO versus Hurt Business 2.0. Maybe I don't know what they're calling them. It was Lashley and the Street Profits versus what was most of the match, Rey and Santos Escobar. Zelina Vega got involved towards the end. She took out, I think it was Dawkins. Maybe I'd have to go back and watch it, but one of them got taken out, because they tried cheating. And just when it looked like the dastardly heels, they were gonna steal one, we get a new theme music for the returning Carlito. I have some thoughts. I definitely have some thoughts with this whole thing. Carlito looked great. It's good to see him back. I know he's in his mid-40s. He's still in great shape. So, I'm happy to have him back. The theme music. I'm a big proponent of the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Leave it be. It's fine. It's done. Leave it. Folks, look up the match. Look up, that segment. I believe WWE posted it on YouTube. I could be wrong. It's not good. It's just bad. It's probably one of the worst Death Rebel themes they've done. One of the worst I've seen. It doesn't work. But again, I digress. Next thought I have, the women's triple threat, Io Shirai or Io Sky versus Asuka versus Charlotte. The whole time in the match I'm thinking Charlotte's gonna win it because it's Charlotte Flair and that's kind of what she does. And just when you thought it was gonna happen, she had Asuka in the figure 8, and ref was distracted by Bayley, who had interfered, even though you had told her not to. And the whole time, Asuka is tapping out. And they made the announcers made point to mention that, made sure they did. And yeah, Io Shirai hits the moonsault on Asuka, pins her 1, 2, 3. Io retains, so honestly, I'm thinking we're probably gonna get Bayley versus Io. Maybe Bayley beats her, and then I don't know. The other wild card to consider here, Jade Cargill made an appearance earlier in the day. Showed her arriving in an SUV, being greeted by Triple H. So Jade's here. I kind of thought we were going to get a little bit more, maybe, something. But again, they are strapping the rocket to her and shooting her to the moon. Again, see what I did there? But, it is what it is. It was decent. LA Knight and Cena versus Jimmy and Solo. Yeah, was alright. Nothing really to write home about. LA Knight and Cena end up getting the win. Right call. Lastly, we have Nakamura versus Seth. And don't get me wrong, folks. I like both guys. I do. I think both are extremely talented. Both, bring a lot to the table. Did the right guy win? Far from. I kind of suspected Seth was gonna win, but then we were gonna get a cash in. Especially considering Judgment Day lost in tag toes in the opening match. I figured, yep, it's happening. Tonight's the night. It's gonna happen. But no, whatever. The big thing, and I think this has to get called out because I see, WWE marks, WWE fanatics, complaining when AEW does something like this and gets picked up. They say, well, this is stupid. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? At one point in the match, they were on, I think they were on a riser, and Rollins gets knocked off, and you think it's going to be a hard thing, but he bounces. And then a couple seconds later, the camera kind of pans out, and it was a crash pad. He had obviously landed on a crash pad. And again, you got to protect the talent's safety. I get it. Makes sense. It's logical to me. But here's where I kind of take umbrage with it. You couldn't cover it up a little bit? Maybe, I don't know, maybe put, boards around it, make it look like equipment. I mean, they did it when we had Rollins versus the Fiend in Saudi. We got it then. They did it then. They have done it countless times. They did it during, what was it, Shane McMahon versus Steve Blackman, where he dove and he landed. He did it then. Folks, the point is, they've done it then, and it was just a blunder. So anyway, Seth ends up winning. You think you're getting the cash in, and you don't. Seth's barely standing. Like, who's gonna take it from him at this point? Is Priest gonna win it clean 1-on-1? Maybe, but I don't know. You know, what worries me is what's gonna eventually happen. People are gonna get sick of him, and they're gonna start to boo. They're gonna start to boo him, and then they're gonna have to turn him heel again. I think that's probably what's gonna end up happening. If it does, But now I think it was a mistake. I think Nakamura should have won. We should have gotten a cash in, something, anything. So, not a bad week in wrestling. It's getting interesting again, which I like. Up next, we have a topic that I think really, and I hate that I gotta even talk about it. I really do. Tribalism in wrestling. It's dumb. It serves no point. It's that mentality that if I'm a WWE fan, I only watch WWE. I don't, anything else that's not WWE's garbage. It sucks. They should go out of business. Anybody that works for them, it's stupid. Like, for example, when Edge, Adam Copeland, whatever you want to refer to him as, Sexton Hardcastle, I don't care. When he left WWE and we went to AEW, you had people saying, oh, well, he was a traitor. They gave him, 20-some years. Well, it's just like any relationship. Relationships end. They end on good terms. They end on bad terms. Or sometimes people grow apart. He even said, there's no ill will. I don't hold anything against them. They don't hold anything against me. We just wanted different things. And that's fine. That's good, people. It's absolutely fine. Triple H said it in the press conference. He said, I wish him the best of luck. He felt that, it was in the best opportunity for his family, and he decided to move forward in a different direction. And he said, look, if there's ever a talent that thinks that they have a better opportunity elsewhere, I encourage them to do it. I encourage them to take it. And, folks, at the end of the day, if you have an opportunity and you don't take it, you're going to be left wondering why. What would have happened if I had done this or if I had done that? The more options that we have, the better. I really feel like we are entering into a boom period, where we're getting all these great things. We got Wembley, a huge crowd there. AEW had a fantastic show there. We had that, and that's great. Folks, there are more opportunity for the wrestlers out there that they're able to go to all these different places. We're able to get, Jade coming to WWE. We're able to get Edge going into AEW. We are getting these options. There's more work for talented wrestlers out there so that, it works. So let's say you have something that didn't quite work out in WWE. Well, they can go to Impact. They can go to AEW, New Japan, and get options. And it's just, no. Why can't you enjoy that? Be happy for them. Edge was gone for like 10 years. 10 years he was gone. And he even said he wanted to be able to finish the story at, he didn't say that, but I kind of have to steal a praise from Cody. You know, Edge wanted to be able to retire on his own terms. You know, he wanted to be able to end his career the way he wanted to. And you can't fault him for that. You know, it's, if he feels that he can do more, then, you know, I say go for it. You know, if he wants to work with his buddy Christian again, cool. You know, if he wants to work with, you know, MJF or, you know, Bryan Danielson again or whatever, I'm happy for him. Go do it. You know, do you. End of the day, it's your life. You know, you don't want to be the guy that, you know, you're at your deathbed and you're thinking, God, you know, I wish I'd, you know, gone here, gone there. Live life with no regrets. But this whole mentality that, and it's both sides, people. Anybody that says it's one side or over the other, shut up. Both sides do it. And honestly, it really can make wrestling fans insufferable. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my opinion. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what happens. And you know, to bring up another point, I remember a time, I grew up during the Attitude Era. You know, you had WWE, WCW, ECW. And when people would show up in different companies, it was a shock. Like, I remember when Chris Jericho first debuted in WWE, and you're like, oh my God, Jericho's here. You know, we had those opportunities, and I miss that. It was that excitement. It was wondering who's going to show up where. And we are entering in a boom period. I feel we are entering in a boom period where we have that. We should want that to flourish. The more companies that are successful, the more it's going to push WWE to get off their ass and move. You know, this is not business as usual. You know, now that Endeavor has taken over and Vince has a boss, which, folks, whether you want to admit it, Vince is a boss. Ari Emanuel is his boss. If things happen and they're not happy, Vince can be booted out on his rear. But let's just be happy for the wrestlers. You know, the ones that work for years to try and make it. Because there's a finite number of spots in WWE. There's only a finite number of spots in NXT, Raw, SmackDown, wherever. There's a finite number of spots in Collision, Dynamite, Ring of Honor. You don't have a lot of options. So, more options, more work, good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mentioned earlier, Hall of Fame class of 2024. You know, it's a tough call. You know, we have a lot of people that aren't in it. Tag team wise, you know, they always seem to do a tag team each year. Personally, if they were to come to me and they were to say, hey, who do you want? You know, you pick the tag team, and you know, and people tell you, I've gotten a lot of the predictions right the past few years. So I'm gonna say for Hall of Fame 2024 tag team, I'd like to see Demolition get in. They're not currently in. I know there are issues between them and WWE. I believe there was a lawsuit at one point. I think it was over the concussions. I think maybe I'm wrong. Not sure. We'll see. You know, depending on what happens with CM Punk, I could see him going in. You know, he was WWE champion for, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was like 434 days, something along that line. They're in Philadelphia, so home of ECW. I could see Tommy Dreamer maybe going in. Shane Douglas. I would love to see that one. I would love to see Shane Douglas go in. He was one of the biggest parts of ECW. He's the guy who threw the NWA World Title on the ground, basically desecrated that title. And he did that. So maybe. I think Paul Heyman is another, you gotta do it. You're in Philly, WrestleMania 40. Heyman is the perfect choice. I would love to see Paul Heyman go in. And I think it'd be a good speech too. Cena's not in. I don't think this is his time. Orton maybe. Who knows what's going on with him. And there's also Batista out there. He was supposed to go in 2020. COVID happened. Then 2021 was supposed to happen. That didn't happen. He's been supposed to go in a couple times. It just didn't happen. So, yeah. But we'll see. We shall see what happens. I would love to see him go in. But we will see. And heck, you could always have Triple H go in on his own. You could have Evolution go in as a team and separately. Ric Flair would be, I think, the first to go in on his own and part of our Horseman and Evolution. So 3-time Hall of Famer. Why not? But we'll see. Sid Vicious, the argument could be made. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if he's in it. I was going to say The Godfather. But we'll see. God. Charles Wright, a.k.a. The Godfather. He is in the Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2016. So, if you want to induct stables, you could do the Nation of Domination. You could do Farouk. You could do D'Lo, Mark Henry, Godfather again, but as Kama, tough call. There's a lot of options you could go with. We'll see, I guess. It's, again, this is what I really enjoy. When I enjoy wrestling, you don't know. It's not obvious. It's, I could see Punk going in if he signs with WWE. I think it's gonna happen. I don't see him, if he comes back to WWE, I don't see him doing full time. Maybe Raw or SmackDown weekly, maybe. But as far as doing, the TV and the house shows and each PLE, I don't see it. I don't. The next big question is, who is going to take the title off Roman? It's fairly obvious it's gonna be Cody. That he's gonna finish the story. I don't think it's the right choice. I think, it was never gonna be Sammy. Reason being, with it being so close to WrestleMania, it was just never gonna be him. Sorry, it's true. It was never gonna be Sammy. I'm talking who it should be is L.A. Knight. Yeah. He's a guy that got over despite WWE, despite Vince McMahon, And Vince had his druthers. He'd still be Max Dupree. You know, he'd still be managing. Which is probably the same kind of gimmick that Adam Cole would have had on the main roster, managing Bearcat Lee. Whatever. I think LA Knight is the perfect choice. You want somebody that when they beat Roman, they're gonna be a star. It's gonna catapult them to the next level. And if I'm Endeavor and I'm, corporate, and I want somebody that can appear on TV, on, the late night shows, on, award shows, can do all this stuff. LA Knight's the perfect person. He's got the look, he's a little bit older, yes, but also he connects with the fans on a different level, and it works. I think he's your guy. I think time and time again, WWE has been handed options on a silver platter. It's up to them, will they take it this time? But I digress. And I'll lead this to our last topic of the night. Who is the next to jump ship? The next to jump ship from WWE to AEW, or from AEW to WWE? We're coming up on the end of 2023. Contracts are going to come due soon, so we'll see. First, I'm going to do two. One person going from WWE to AEW, the other from AEW coming to WWE. First, for WWE, who's going to leave? Depending on what his contract is, I'm going to say I could see Drew McIntyre heading over. I think the refresher would be there. His last bit has not been good. It's just been kind of, not bad. It's just been, it's tough to see that. And another one I would like to see go, AJ Styles. He's just sort of there. But I think he's happy where he is. He's making his money, and then he's going to just be like, yeah, time to go. But we'll see. Lastly, who's jumping ship from AEW to WWE? This one's a little trickier. A couple months back, I would have said MJF for sure. I would have told you MJF is going, he's signing, as soon as his contract with Tony Khan is up, he's going home. He's going to WWE. And now I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's actually doing it. If maybe he's already re-signed with AEW. We don't know. But we'll see. Now, if MJF is the type to play the field, maybe he kind of lets the contract get to a point where he can negotiate. Maybe. Again, we'll see what happens there. I honestly would really like to. I don't know. I'm an MJF fan. I think, honestly, he's probably the greatest right now of all time, no. But this day and age, absolutely. I would love to see him work with AJ Styles. I think they would have a fantastic match. Style-wise, it would be entertaining. On the mic, I would love to see him go with guys like Mick Foley, which, yes, Foley's retired physically, but if you have never seen some of Mick Foley's promos, check out some of his ECW stuff. The Kane Dewey promo, any of them. The guy knew how to talk. So MJF maybe. There were rumors that Ricky Starks may be going. Supposedly his contract is up at the end of the year. Who knows? This is like what I was saying earlier, when I like that the unknown. I like knowing that I don't know. I don't know who's going to end up where. One person we do know where they're going to end up is a guy that is very nice, very evil. Now, of course, I'm talking about that Danhausen. I love that Danhausen. It was announced this past week that Danhausen is coming back soon. And folks, if you have not seen the promo yet, it's out there and it is amazing. They put out a vignette to the old Silver Shamrock commercial from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. The whole Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. I'm sorry. I was singing. Sorry. You know what I'm talking about. But it was to very, very, very nice, very evil. It was Danhausen. And of course he used that. And it worked. And he just said he's coming back soon. So if I look up my handy dandy calendar for October, let's see where we are. Halloween is on a Tuesday, so I think it makes more sense to have him back on the 25th, which would be in about 2 weeks. Maybe? Or maybe they have him on the 28th for Collision. But he's coming back soon, and I am stoked for it. You know, he's somebody that he created a gimmick that was original. Nobody had ever done anything like that before, but it works. It works to a point that if there's ever a forbidden door between WWE and AEW, and I've mentioned this before to a couple of my esteemed colleagues, I would love to see a segment with R-Truth and Danhausen. You cannot tell me that would not be beyond entertaining. So, please, make it happen. Please. I'm asking, begging even. So, folks, again, I want to take the time and thank you all for listening, for watching. This has been episode number 1 of the Piledriver Pundit. I aim to have weekly episodes where I discuss different topics. It could be a format similar to this, where I do, a little bit of each. Maybe I focus to one topic. Maybe I do that. But what you can see in future episodes is more of me. Maybe I'll have a couple guests here and there. I guess you're just gonna have to pay attention and watch for the next episode. Again, my name is DC, and this has been the Piledriver Pundit. Thank you, and good night.
The past is gone. Now's the future.